Welcome to the Cozy Historian. If you find yourself drifting off before the story ends, that's perfectly fine. Just remember to like and subscribe before you fall asleep. It helps these quiet journeys through time softly continue. And before your eyes grow heavy, tell me in the comments, what time is it where you are? And what's the last thing you did before bed? Tonight, we're traveling back to the very beginning of rest itself. So fluff your pillow, pull up your blanket, and let's drift back to the world's very first bed. But tonight, we won't stop at the bed. We'll follow the quiet sound of water, the ripple, the pour, the sigh, into the story of the invention of the bathtub and the ritual of bathing. Let us begin far back in time, long before faucets, candles, or claw-foot tubs. The year is around 2500 BCE in the Indus Valley. The city of Mohenjo-Daro hums with quiet activity. Built from baked brick and laid out in astonishing precision, it holds a secret, an architectural wonder known today as the Great Bath. It was no mere pool, 39 feet long and lined with bitumen to hold water. This vast basin was accessed by descending steps from both sides, its edges once surrounded by small rooms, perhaps changing areas, or spaces for quiet reflection. Archaeologists believe it was used for ritual purification, a sacred washing of body and soul. Here, water was not yet for hygiene, it was for renewal. To bathe was to participate in something cosmic, to align oneself with purity and balance. From this ancient pool, the thread of bathing winds through the centuries. The Egyptians, too, believed in the sanctity of cleanliness. Priests washed several times a day in cold water drawn from the Nile. Their basins were carved from alabaster and copper, their oils perfumed with lotus, frankincense, and myrrh. Cleanliness was a sign of divine favor. Further west, the Greeks transformed bathing into an art of both beauty and philosophy. After exercise, they washed in basins and anointed themselves with scented oils, scraping the skin with curved metal strigils. To cleanse the body was to cultivate balance, the harmony between mind and flesh that defined the Greek ideal. But it was the Romans who made bathing an empire-wide passion. In cities from Pompeii to Londinium, the thermae, vast public baths, became social hubs. They were feats of engineering, aqueducts carrying water across miles, furnaces heating it beneath marble floors, and clever ventilation filling rooms with scented steam. Inside, citizens passed from the tepidarium, a warm chamber, into the caldarium, heated by hippocausts below, before plunging into the frigidarium, a cold pool that shocked the senses awake. Musicians played softly, philosophers debated, friends met to gossip. In Rome, the bath was both sanctuary and stage. Yet as empires fall, so too do comforts. When Rome's aqueducts crumbled, so did its baths. The Dark Ages arrived, and with them, a long suspicion of bathing. In medieval Europe, water itself came to be feared. Many believed illness could seep through the pores, that open, washed skin invited disease. Public bathhouses, once vibrant, gained dubious reputations. The Church, wary of sensual indulgence, discouraged them altogether. And so, for centuries, people changed linens rather than bathe. But even then, the ritual survived. quietly elsewhere. In the Islamic world, bathing remained sacred. The hammam, or Turkish bath, carried the Roman love of architecture into a realm of spiritual purity. Its domed ceilings were punctured with small, star-shaped skylights. Water was poured from warm brass ewers. The air was perfumed with steam and silence. To wash, in Islam, was to honor the Creator. It was an act of prayer, a preparation of the self. These traditions endured even as Europe remained hesitant. By the time of the Renaissance, things began to shift. The rediscovery of classical ideals, beauty, balance, health, revived a cautious appreciation for bathing. Mineral springs, once thought to hold magical powers, became fashionable retreats. Nobles and physicians alike journeyed to places such as Bath in England or Aix-les-Bains in France. There, water was both cure and comfort, an elixir for melancholy, gout, and fatigue. Still, the personal bathtub, that quiet sanctuary of the home, remained rare. Heating water was laborious. Plumbing was primitive. Most households made do with wooden tubs, tin-lined and portable, placed near a fire, filled by buckets, and emptied by hand. Only the wealthiest could indulge in regular bathing, often as a theatrical act. Letters from the 18th century describe noblewomen reclining in perfumed waters, while musicians played, attendants fanned, and conversation fluttered like lace. Then, in 1842, something remarkable happened. A man named Adam Thompson of Cincinnati built what is often called the first modern bathtub, a massive mahogany tub lined with lead into which water could be piped directly. He demonstrated it during a Christmas party. Newspapers ridiculed him at first, calling it unnecessary, even dangerous. Doctors warned that immersion in hot water might weaken the nerves. But progress is patient. By the mid-19th century, industrial innovation had brought cast-iron tubs coated in porcelain enamel, bright, durable, and smooth. These were heavy but hygienic, and they gleamed with a promise of purity. As plumbing spread through growing cities, the bathtub became not just a luxury, but a statement of modernity, of self-care, of grace. And thus, by candlelight and cast iron, the ritual returned. Picture a Victorian evening, 1880 or so. The gaslights hum softly. In an upstairs chamber, wallpapered in rose and fern, stands a pristine white clawfoot bathtub. Beside it, a wooden stool holds a folded towel, a small bottle of lavender oil, and a single candle burning low. The lady of the house enters, her hair unpinned from the day's duties. She tests the water with the back of her hand, then steps in slowly, the steam rising to meet her. The world outside, all its rules and noise, melts away. This was no longer a public ceremony, but an intimate ritual. Bathing had become private, personal, a place to think, to breathe, to soften. Even as society clung to its manners, the bathtub offered rebellion in its simplest form, stillness. Yet not everyone approved. Some Victorian doctors still warned against frequent bathing, believing it stripped the body of protective oils. In many households, a single bath per week was shared, the same water used by father, mother, and children, in that order. Hence the old saying, "Don't throw the baby out with the bath water." But the tide of progress would not be stopped. The sanitary revolution of the late 19th century transformed everything. Indoor plumbing, sewage systems, and water heaters brought cleanliness into every home. Magazines advertised gleaming bathrooms as symbols of health and refinement. Posters declared, "A clean home is a moral home." Bathing became part of daily rhythm, no longer a rarity but a necessity. And yet, as it became routine, it also retained a whisper of the sacred. The act of bathing was, and still is, a kind of baptism into calm. Across the world, ancient customs endured alongside new comforts. In Japan, the ofuro, a deep soaking tub, remained a place not of washing but of meditation. In Finland, the sauna preserved the communal spirit of the old Roman baths, a ritual of heat and cold, of purification and rebirth. Even today, though we live surrounded by convenience, the bathtub remains an heirloom of peace. We pour salts, scatter petals, light candles, all gestures inherited from civilizations long gone. Each bath is a small return to the Great Bath of Mohenjo-Daro, to the hammam, to the Roman thermae, to the human wish for renewal. Close your eyes now and imagine that quiet room again. The flame flickers, water laps gently against porcelain, and the air smells faintly of lavender. Outside, the night deepens. Inside, everything slows. When you next draw a bath, remember, you are part of a story that began 5,000 years ago. Every ripple connects to the past, to the hands that built the Great Bath, to the Romans who debated in steam, to the Victorians who dreamed of comfort and progress. Water remembers, and through it, so do we. And so, dear listener, as the candles fade and the night deepens, may your dreams be filled with the soft echoes of history. Until next time, sleep well.